All right, and we are live, 8 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. Decent amount of news stories coming up today. Nothing too crazy, but definitely worth a look. So let's check things out. First and foremost, today would have been the day that GTA 6 was supposed to launch. Unfortunate circumstances have led to what, 2 days? Sorry, two setbacks from its original time period, but we gotta be close, right? Maybe, maybe end of 2026. Definitely not waiting for new consoles to come out. Definitely want to release those again. So let's see if this date sticks. Moving on. Uh, Gamers Nexus put out a video. This must have been yesterday. It is a massive 3.5 hour video, but in it they go over a lot of the issues that kind of a lot of the secondary, tertiary companies are having when it comes to the price hikes of RAM and how that's affecting the not only tech industries but gaming overall. Certainly PC gaming first and foremost, and then I gotta assume it's making its way to other gaming as well. Simply showing that people just aren't building new machines. They're finding ways to refurbish. They're maybe making their current ones last a little bit longer. I'm about an hour of the way through, and so far they've had Der Bauer, who makes Cryonaut CPU paste, thermal paste, and a couple other I think deleting tool. How they've been affected. This right now, they're talking to Cooler Master. So what? PC components, not actual GPUs, or CPUs or RAM, but the kind of tertiary parts, power supplies, CPU coolers, the things that you still need to make a computer, but obviously vastly less substantial than RAM, GPU, that kind of stuff, and it doesn't look good. The first hour in, things sound pretty dire. Hopefully the next 1 to 2 hours will be a turnaround, but definitely a must watch if you've got any kind of interest in this overall, gaming news and updates. This is something that might actually have the biggest impact that kind of we've ever seen. This is bigger than a new Unreal Engine. This is bigger than a new console. This is potentially systemically going to change everything. Don't think it's really good, at least from the way, like I said, that first hour is shaping up. But definitely worth a watch. Gamers Nexus, go check that one out. Moving on, we got some news that Bungie had actually allowed their had their developers, not allowed, the higher ups were having their developers work on future Destiny 2 content while the leadership knew that the game was going to be put on life support. If that is not the most just horrifying, what are we doing with our lives? Just literally wasting time making stuff that will never see the light of day. It's just, this has to be one of these stupidest decisions that kind of Bungie and Sony have made in quite a long time. Now, if you're any kind of sci-fi fan, yes, obviously this looks like Revan. Yes, obviously this guy looks like Malik. There have been multiple things throughout, recent Destiny where, yeah, everything kind of looks a little bit like Star Wars. They brought out lightsabers. They've got speeders that look the same, lots of stuff that, why don't they make a Star Wars game? I could certainly see, especially as Sony pulls back to create, again, these first party story driven games, why wouldn't you put Bungie, who clearly is inspired and wants to do Star Wars stuff, make Destiny Star Wars? How would that not be free money for everyone over there? People would absolutely buy it. People, I never knew how tied in people were to the overall Destiny story. Destiny 1 was meh at best, but give us that kind of, run and gun abilities, multiplayer first-person shooter dungeons. You get that original concept from Destiny 1. Just make a Star Wars. There, I just say Bungie. But you're never going to have that kind of stuff if, again, you're having your developers literally work on nonsense. We know that they pulled people over to Marathon. A massive amount of the Bungie team moved over to Marathon to work on it. Certainly, probably while this was happening, right? There was definitely a time period where they knew that Destiny was going to be retired, and they couldn't have used those devs on Marathon to do something. I don't know. Just seems like a lot of questionable competency going on there. Next story comes from NVIDIA. They have just unveiled their actual true first CPU, and according to their benchmarks, it beats everything. However, they compared it to, who they wanted to compare it to. So is this thing actually, the monster that they're trying to claim it's going to be? Who knows? If anything, sure, another competitor in the CPU market is good. I've been very happy with what AMD's been putting out. With the last, how old is Ryzen now? Is Ryzen a decade old at this point? Because the Ryzen line just keeps getting better. Not only from a technical standpoint, but also a price to technical standpoint. It's forced Intel to bend the knee and rethink their entire, business model at this point. They thought that they were kings, and they got knocked down a peg, and now we've seen them come out with better budget-friendly CPUs, not trying to go with the high-end K models from back in the day. They can't chase those because they just can't beat a Ryzen chip. So if NVIDIA can do that, does that then force, competition is good? Does that force both Intel and AMD back to the drawing board to come up with something? Is this potentially an answer to GPUs coming down in price? Because maybe, I don't know, are these definitely a bit above my head, but hopefully this is a good thing. This isn't just NVIDIA blowing smoke up, investors or shareholders' butts, but we'll wait till we get some third-party hands-on comparisons. We'll see. Bringing back kind of an older story that we could just kind of do update on. Back when Microsoft or Xbox was trying to buy out Activision Blizzard, there was some kind of backhandedness going on. So the lawsuit originally filed by, this was a Swedish pension fund. Go ahead and pronounce that. Fundi AP Fonden. The lawsuit essentially alleged that the deal was rushed through by, at the time, CEO Bobby Kotick to get Microsoft to buy them, but at a fixed price. I think that was, $95 a share? And the lawsuit says that if that wasn't forced through by a incentivized Bobby Kotick that they potentially could have gotten more money for shareholders. Just a higher stock price. $96 would have been better. $95.50 would have been better, right? And today we finally got a verdict saying that, yep, that was true. There was enough evidence to show that Bobby Kotick pushed things through as quickly as he could to get the deal done. They were certainly facing scrutiny from, I believe it was the Biden administration's FTC trying to stop it. Obviously that didn't come through. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Everything's been as we expected, terrible since then. But the result of this lawsuit is that Microsoft is going to pay the defendants, or sorry, the plaintiffs, I don't know what word that is, $250 million, some of it covered by Activision, or sorry, some of it covered by Microsoft, some of it covered by, yeah, it turns out they have insurance for this kind of thing. If they get sued, they have lawsuit insurance, so some of it will be picked up by that policyholder. Either way, though, I don't know, good for the pension on getting their money. Nothing really changes on the the gaming consumer side. This $250 million, or what? Microsoft's gonna pay 40% of that, so not even the full 250. That's a drop in the bucket. For companies like Microsoft, definitely doesn't help the bottom line for Xbox or Activision on their yearly budget report, but I think overall Microsoft probably still views the acquisition as a net positive, even with an extra $250 million added that price tag. And our last story for the day, Remedy had recently got a new CEO, and Jean-Charles Goodouchin. He had an interview with the game business, and in that we learned a couple of different things. Rightfully so, the team over at Remedy were concerned that this guy is former EA, worked on FIFA, Battlefield Heroes, the ill-fated kind of cartoony Battlefield game, and the long story EVE Online. He was an executive, so don't know exactly what he did on those things. But now moving to Remedy. Remedy, of course, we got their page pulled up. Known for these very heavily driven atmospheric story games. Control, obviously the upcoming Control 2 game, whatever that one's called. The Max Payne series, Alan Wake, which recently had Alan Wake 2 that everyone seemed to love. The thing that he says that he's bringing into this is, let me see if I have the quote. Not sure if I have it here. There we go. But as franchises, Control, Alan Wake, etc., would give a lot more. There's a vision on thinking bigger for some of these IPs, which we need to find its audience much further than the current audience. It's super exciting. So he came in kind of guns blazing, saying, Alan Wake and Control should have sold way more than they did, and potentially that's the EA executive in him. But I don't know, is there a bigger audience for games like those? Could it have been marketed differently? How does he think he could have extracted more people? I think the even bigger thing is he's looking at shows like Fallout and thinking, how can we get our Remedy IPs out there as a show or a web series, a movie, Markiplier's Iron Lung movie based on the game Iron Lung for what it was, did fantastic. And certainly you have some, again, extremely atmospheric games here that, yeah, I could certainly see being at least pitched as movies. There's certainly, they already have well-written stories, a lot of, the early work, storyboarding kind of done. Don't know if you'd want to do a repeat, like a straight up, like they did previously, of a Max Payne kind of early Hollywood video game adaptation, or something more like a Fallout where it's a story just set in the universe and we're gonna make do with that, come up with a new story. I don't know. I think this is definitely the end of the comic book movie blockbuster that has been done for a few years now. In upcoming is the future Hollywood, which is video game movies, or video game content, TV and movies. I think Remedy thinks that they're going to cash in on that. We'll see. Is Alan Wake 3 going to be a movie instead? Who knows? But that's all we got for today. If you made it this far, as always, thanks for watching. We are here Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. West Coast. Check out the Gaming News and Updates Discord if you don't like me talk but still want the stories. We have everything from many of these gaming outlets, pretty much everything you see in here, all put into one tight little Discord, all done by bots, so you never miss something. But that's all we got.